So here's why you shouldn't throw your drumsticks. I can't tell you how many times I did this when I was a kid. Like put holes in the wall just because I couldn't handle learning something. So the frustrations of practice. All right, so I gotta take a short break because I've changed my my setup a little bit. So I changed. It was like the smallest change. I just changed where one of my toms was situated a little bit, kind of a little bit of an angle, and then I also changed my hi-hat placement because my foot was just a little bit wonky, so it was not how I wanted it to be. And man, that has just like wreaked havoc on me. I'm dropping sticks everywhere. I've dropped them in several live lessons or recordings for the videos to YouTube. It's crazy. I actually punched my hi-hat by accident the other day. That's never happened. Like the first knuckle of my fingers just demolished. How do you punch your hi-hat? So, but anyway, it reminded me, because I'm going, I'll go into a simple drum fill and then my stick will fly out because it'll hit something because I'm not accustomed to it being in that spot. And there's such slight changes. But then it started making me think about like all of these different drum fills that I've failed, and like what was the connecting element to me for the most fails in a drum fill? Like what was that connecting element? And years ago I found that, and so that's kind of what I teach my students and myself now whenever I'm learning a new fill or any way to put it with my grooves. But I had to take a break because I'm getting a little frustrated with the playing side of things in my practice time right now. So when I need to take a break, I come out here to the great outdoors. So anyway, but yeah, I recorded a little clip to explain to you my biggest drum fill fails and how I avoid them with myself and with my students. So hopefully it helps you. I want to talk about the number one situation where I've seen myself as well as so many of my students fail time after time after time when it comes to incorporating drum fills into their playing. We all have this thing of like, we've learned this gem, this nugget, whether that be, a fill or a groove or whatever, but putting it into our playing, seeing it, having it show up, that's something completely different, right? So the number one place that I've seen myself fail time after time again over the years on the bandstand in front of people in an audience, as well as my students, is in my transitions. So we focus on learning the chorus groove or the verse groove or the intro groove or outro or bridge, whatever that may be. We work on those, and then we work on these patterns that we want to incorporate in there and all of these drum fills that we want to do. But the place that I see people glossing over in their practice time is places that I call hinge points. It's like the hinge of a door. You don't want your hinges to be squeaky on a door, otherwise you're going to wake everybody else when you walk in the house, right? That's the same way with your playing, and your drum fills and transitions are those hinge points within your playing. So all too often we work one, we work the other, and we never put them together in context. And because we don't do that, when we go to play them in context on the gig, we can't pull it off. We crash the plane, right? And then we go home and we wonder what the heck happened. Well, you never worked your transitions. You worked A, you worked B, but you didn't work out getting from A to B. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to give you just a practical way to do that. Some of you may already do this, and this may be news for some of you. For me, it took me a very long time because I had some very basic things I was working on in my practice time that I could not get to show up in my playing, okay? So let's go ahead and look at this. So the problem comes in that we do maybe gloss over and work that transition, but we don't work it with the groove that we're planning on putting it with, or we don't work it enough. We don't create a small enough feedback loop. So let me kind of get to you. Let me kind of show you what that's going to happen. So I'm gonna have two grooves here. I'm gonna have like a verse and a chorus type of a groove. So my verse groove is just going to be this. Now, I'm not going to go through teaching that groove because that's not the point. I'm just having a groove to go to. Now, let's do a chorus groove, something like this. Okay, so that's going to be my two grooves that I'm going back and forth. So let's pretend I've been practicing, I've worked through those, now I want to incorporate a drum fill. For kicks and giggles, let's just do this drum fill. It's just a very simple pattern, 3-note pattern with some 16th note, with some singles on the end, okay? Now, I may have practiced this, and I may have practiced that, and I may have practiced this separately, but the key is putting them together. And what's the first thing we usually do when we put them together? 4 bars of time, play the fill, go to the next groove. 4 bars of time, play the, and that's all good and great, but to me, that's a very long feedback loop. And the place I need feedback is that transition. Okay? And so what needs to be happening in between playing that transition is you need to be self-correcting. Okay? And when we're self-correcting, we're thinking about what just happened and what went wrong. So I'm going to go from here to there playing that drum fill, but I want 100% success. In other words, I don't want the groove to sound like I don't want what I call, it's called a wonky feeling, right? That's a musical term. I just, made it up. It means unstable, right? It's my made up word for the lesson. It means unstable, okay? I don't want an unstable, wonky feel. It takes a second to settle back into the pocket. You want to be able to go from here, nail the fill, go right back in and have nothing feel different, all right? And so to do that, we need to shorten that feedback loop. So for myself, for my students, when they're first learning a drum groove, drum fill, drum groove, working on that transition, we shorten the feedback loop. 1 bar of time, play the transitional fill, 1 bar of time. Okay? So old groove, transition fill, new groove, transition fill, old groove, and I'm hitting it. Why are we doing that? Because what I want to do is I want to ping that place that I have the problem as many times as I can. I want to hit it as many times as I can and smooth it out. And you're like, Steven, I can't do the groove into the fill into the groove. Yeah, I know. That's why we're working that. You're like, if I do it that quick together, I can't do it. That's the point, okay? We want to get to where we can. So you slow it down and you play that. So here's the order of occurrence. It's going to be 1 bar of groove, the drum fill I just played, a crash, and then we're going into the next groove, 1 bar, drum fill, and back. And I'm going to do it at a slower tempo just so you can see kind of how the importance is not the groove or the fill. The importance is that we get the whole thing together, okay? So I'd play it in something slow like this. 3, 4. Now, I would do that sequence over and over and over, and if I couldn't perform it, I would slow it way down. And then I would stop after every couple of times and go, okay, what went wrong? One of those, the second fill I did, I missed a left hand here. I think it was a left hand. And so that's the kind of feedback I'm giving myself. Okay, I missed that in that pattern. I missed this. I need to slow it down a little bit more, do the same type of thing. Once I got that, then I would expand my feedback loop just a little bit. So 2 bars of time, fill, 2 bars of time, fill. So you see how consistent and methodical that is? Bam, 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 bam. So just back and forth, back and forth. Then I would expand it to 3 measures. And then finally 4 measures of time, what most teachers go to, and what I used to go to as well, as my kind of, this is what you need to do, 4 bars of time, do the drum fill, 4 bars of time. Because it's, or 3 bars of time, drum fill, 3 bars of time if you want to stay in a 4-bar stanza. Okay, so What I want you to do though is shorten the feedback loop and don't just work on the groove, don't just work on the drum fill, you have to work on them together. And if you're in a gigging situation, an even better way that you can do this is find a specific song. Whenever I started playing in New Orleans, when I was 19, this was the first time that I was gigging daily, like every day I had a gig. I had a set list. So I would be practicing things, maybe it was a simple triplet figure like, maybe I was doing hand and foot singles and just doing like a triplet pattern like that, and I wanted to put that in a shuffle. I would say, this song, going into the chorus at the first verse, I'm going to play this fill. Over and over and over and over, and then I would try it out on the gig, and if I didn't nail it, I'd go back to the practice room. So I found very specific places to use each one of these things, and that's what you need to do, because most likely the reason you're failing at your drum fills, and the reason I have in the past and learned from that, is because you are not practicing the actual application of that fill with the groove you want to play it with the groove that you're going to, and practice the finer components of smoothing all of that out. For a lot of you, that's where your problem is. I know, because I review videos, I review audio of people sending me in, students sending me things in, I have them come into the studio. This is a problem that comes up over and over and over. Transitions. Shorten the feedback loop, then begin to broaden it so that you're able to contain the mistakes that you're making, and you're able to think about them in a longer. So in other words, I made a mistake in bar 1 and I'll still remember that mistake so I can, correct it the next time I come through. That's what we need to be doing. Hopefully that's helped you out a little bit with your transitions. If it has, hit that like button, that thumbs up button, share it with somebody you think it may help. As always, if you want to go deeper, I have tons of lessons in the members area on the website. The link for that is below this as well. There's a ton of free content on the website too. You can grab the link below for that as well. But whatever you do, I'll see you here in the next lesson.